Hello students, welcome, Khush Amdeed and Khush Galdanes. Today we are going to discuss Shakespearean comedies and tragic comedies. Now, first of all, let's discuss what is meant by a Shakespearean comedy. When we talk about Shakespearean comedies, then we have to make ourselves very clear about one point that Shakespearean concept of comedy is a bit different than our modern concept of comedy drama, because in our modern time period we have been introduced a lot of novelties and a lot of innovations within the field of comedy. But Shakespearean play or Shakespearean comedy can be defined as a play that ends happily on a wedding scene normally. For example, A Midsummer Night's Dream and then The Merchant of Venice, they end happily but on some wedding scenes or some engagement scenes. There are certain primary features of Shakespearean comedy. In Shakespearean comedy, he has been used the supernatural elements as well in order to create humor or in order to bring hype in the humorous effect of the very play. Now, the kind of conflicts we can find in Shakespearean comedies is normally a conflict between the lovers and their elders. Means this very type of conflict we can also find in our modern comedies, that the lovers who are fighting for getting married and their elders are not willing for that proposal, and their elders have some sort of grudges and they are causing troubles for those lovers to get married. So this kind of conflicts are normally found in his comedies. In Shakespearean comedy, another prime feature is that they are normally based on the reunion of lovers or the re-meeting of lovers. The lovers, they are rejoining each other after a long time, and their identities are confused. Because this element of confused identities is also used to create humor in the Shakespearean comedy. So the characters are represented disguised, and their identities are misunderstood, are taken mistakenly. That's how the plays or the Shakespearean comedies move on. You can find this very elements of lovers meeting accidentally after a long time in the very famous comedy of Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream, that is based on a conflict between lovers, the love of Lysander and Helena, and Hermia and Demetrius. This type of conflict is there when Lysander wants to marry Hermia and Helena wants to marry Demetrius, and their elders, they decided it differently. They decided Lysander marrying with they decided Hermia marrying with Demetrius, and this sort of conflicts, and then the lovers escaped, and they tried to follow one another in that very conflict of the lovers lost in the woods. They find the original pairs, I mean the ones they love, and then the situations are resolved. And another prime feature of Shakespearean comedies is that in Shakespearean comedy there is not a single plot. There are many subplots. There are plots within plot. You cannot only find one type of conflict. You can find multiple types of conflicts and plots, and they are all interlinked. This is another prime feature of Shakespearean comedies. This can also be found in Shakespearean tragedies, but in comedies it is used to highlight the effects of comedy or the comic effects. Many critics argue about Shakespearean comedies that the Shakespearean comedies are mostly based on the themes of love, and secondly, they are based on a conflict between Apollonian and Dionysian passions. Now, Apollonian and Dionysian passions are two different type of conflicts, like the conflict between seriousness and the happiness, and the conflict between the wrath and rivalry. So this type of elements are there is an interplay of this sort of elements in order to create humor. Now, technically speaking, there is another primary feature of Shakespearean comedies, that is, in Shakespearean comedies we find many literary devices that are used to highlight the effects of humor or the effects of the narrative. The literary devices are like figures of speech. We can find in Shakespearean play a lot of oxymorons and a lot of puns. Puns are used, like puns, as we already know, that it means the wordplay. So this type of wordplay is used to create humor in Shakespearean comedies. So these are some 3 to 4 major features of Shakespearean comedies. Uh, Let me talk about a few academically celebrated comedies of William Shakespeare. They include The Merchant of Venice, The Tempest, and The Merchant of Venice and The Tempest are also known as tragic comedies, because these plays carrying both of the elements of tragedy as well as comedy, but they have happy endings. Then we have All's Well That Ends Well, The Winter's Tale, The Comedy of Errors, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Winter's Tale, Much Ado About Nothing, and The Merry Wives of Windsor. So these are some celebrated, academically celebrated comedies of William Shakespeare. Another primary feature of these comedies is that there is always a character that is used by those lovers to sport them, and that is the character of a clever servant of those families or of those lovers, and they play a very important role into the rising of the actions, as well as into the denouement, or into the resolution of the action, and as well as into the resolution of the situations and the conflicts in the play. When we talk about the disguised identities and misunderstood identities, then we can get an example from the play The Merchant of Venice, in which Portia, she just disguised herself into in as a lawyer, and she just went for to help Antonio when he was in trouble that was created by Shylock. So she disguised herself as a man, and this was an element of humor, because later on, when Antonio was unable to identify her, or he was confused, and that the dialogues over there between them are very beautifully written, and they create a very gay sort of humor. So this sort of humor is found in Shakespearean plays. Disguised identities also play many a very important role into the play A Midsummer Night's Dream. Over there, the role of magical elements, the role of supernatural elements is also very important, because in the very play, so this disguised identity of lovers create not only creates humor, but it also creates hype in the humorous effects of the play. And at the end, the situation is resolved and the lovers are happily married. So this is all about Shakespearean plays, Shakespearean comedies. In our next discussion, we will definitely start from some novelist, or I'll try to start discussing the plays and playwrights individually. Thank you so much for today. Allah Hafiz.
Let's explore the world we see.